Edit, new vocabulary. We then ask to describe the properties of that vocabulary. Let's give it an identifier, a name. I'm going to do something on kitchen items. Click Save. Add a term. We have to decide on the term type. A preferred term is one that would be used in metadata, for example, whereas a node label is one that's just there for structure. I have to give it an identifier and a name. Let's type in, this case we'll make some tools. Save. We can give a definition and other bits of information as well. Again, new term, term type, preferred term, identifier, and a name. Let's say knives. If I wanted to, I could create some translations, I could give a definition, I can choose a category, but I'll just create the term for now. File, import vocabulary, vocabulary called kitchen things, inside a vocabularies directory, select it and open. That then is imported. A log appears at the bottom here to show what's happened. Open up and you see that we have a list of terms already prepared. Down here there is a term called tools, which seems more like a heading. Let's pop that into the work area, double click it, change it from a preferred term to a node label, showing it's there just for structure. And let's find some of the tools. For example, kettle. Do you want to move it? Yes. Another one, rolling pin. Confirm the move. And you can see I'm gradually building up a structure. I want a category for things that you serve things in. So let's create a new term. Give it a term type, just a node label to provide structure. Give it a name called servers. Save it. Let's bring that over to the work area. And now rearrange the windows. Find things that we serve food in. So we can serve food in a bowl. Yes. We can, carving knives could be a tool. Yes. Casserole dishes. Well, we can serve things in the dish. We can serve things in a cup. Corkscrews we could call tools. As you can see, we now are building up a structure. Let's resort everything. Here is the vocabulary kitchen things organized a bit more. You can see that cooking has got 4 terms underneath it, one of which has got further term relationship. If we open up serving as well, you can see that casserole dishes appears in both places. Double click, you can see the relationships. It's broader term cooking and broader term serving. Let's look at bowls. We can see that bowls, there are fruit bowls, sugar bowls, and soup bowls. We want to move a term, we simply move, drag, release. Again, move, drag, release. Sugar bowls, move, drag, release. We look under cups, we see it's related to saucers. And look under saucers, it's automatically related to cups. One great thing about Lexaurus is it remembers all the things you did to your vocabulary. If I select it and click on history, you can see every time I make a change, there is a new revision of the vocabulary, and it tells you what I've done, deleted terms, and so on. So maybe I didn't want to do something back to 109. For example, I've moved the terms soup bowls, fruit bowls, and sugar bowls. I did that revision after 106. So I can restore to 106. Are you sure? Yes. And now, kitchen things. You can see that the bowls don't have are not collected under bowls, sugar bowls, and so on. And I can even undo the undo, if you like. So I can now go back and to the vocabulary prior to restoration, and now you see that bowls does have those three narrower terms. Lexaurus allows you to keep in touch with repositories that exist already, Lexaurus vocabulary banks. View repositories. There's one there. Show the content. I've got one vocabulary in it only at the moment, and I can select it and synchronize. What this does, it loads that vocabulary into my editor, and it shows that it's synchronized. This is a simple one with just 3 terms. Here is a demo vocabulary bank that my editor has synchronized with, and you can see just the one vocabulary category values. I've just synchronized the LRE Thesaurus vocabulary, the Learning Resource Exchange vocabulary, with European Schoolnet's vocabulary bank. It took 51 seconds to load up 8,789 terms. Let's open up Content of Education, and you can see below that we have Applied Sciences, below that we have Accounting. That has got another broader term, and it's got some use for terms. These are non-preferred terms. If I roll over those term, you can see its identifier, when it was updated, its source, and so on. Let's double click on Accounting, and you can see this type is a preferred term, has an identifier, has a name. It's got some other information here. Here's all the relationships it has, and the flag indicates that there are other language versions. Click, and you can see we have the language and the text for that language, and you can see that Lexaurus supports Arabic, Hebrew, and other language sets. If you want to add a language, you click on the plus. I've just created a preferred term called entertainment. You see there's a star there, indicates that this is now different to the vocabulary in the bank. I can look at synchronization and commit those changes to the bank that is synchronized with. It double checks, yes, and it says successfully committed those changes. This vocabulary has not been published. Right click, synchronize. I can't commit the changes because it's not synchronized yet, but I can publish that. I'm publishing it to my default repository, the demo version. Click yes. It's now successfully published. So we are now back at our Lexaurus bank, our demo version. When we browse the vocabularies, you can see the vocabulary category values now has the entertainment added, and the vocabulary kitchen things has arrived. We see now you can use Lexaurus Editor to create vocabularies, import vocabularies, synchronize with a vocabulary bank, and publish to a vocabulary bank. Let's take a look at European SchoolNet, which is an example of a vocabulary bank. You can see the latest updates on the right, available via an RSS feed, so you can be sure you're up to date. You can browse. You can see all the vocabularies that are there, and they have a large number. Let's take a look, for example, at this one, which is the French learning object metadata vocabulary. It has simply got a number of terms in it as a simple list translated into French. If we look at the LRE, Learning Resource Exchange, learning resource types, you can see this has got two top terms. The italics denote it's a node label, and then we've got some terms here which are used in the their learning object metadata. We saw the LRE thesaurus in the editor. Let's just take a look to show you it's the same. Content of education, applied sciences, click on accounting. We can see it has a name, an alternative identifier, authority, a qualifier, some other terms that are related to it. Click on the name, you can see that it's been translated into several languages. It's possible to filter. This bank filters on the authority, and you can see that European SchoolNet have 26, their Learning Resource Exchange have 29 vocabularies, and there are some authorities with just the one. Look at the IMS, and there are lots of information there for packaging information that are used, for example, manifestation names. You can search the repository, the bank, for, let's try education, search, and that will return, in this case, 210 terms that contain the word education, educational, educate, and so on. We can do an advanced search and restrict it to a particular authority, let's say LRE, a particular vocabulary, let's just try the thesaurus, and just preferred terms, for example. Search, and you can see now that's narrowed our research to 54 terms. If you click on one, you get the information in the right-hand side. You get a scope note and the relationships of that term. It's also possible to see if the term appears in other vocabularies, and if it does, you can look at the record for it in those vocabularies. It's possible to register for a vocabulary bank, and then a system administrator can log on and change the roles for a person. So let's take a look at Alma. She's a user of the European SchoolNet Vocabulary Bank. Let's take it turn her into an editor. Other roles are authority administrator and general administrator. Let's update her. Once a user has been given the role of editor, an administrator or an authority administrator can choose which vocabularies they are allowed to edit. It may be we only want Alma to edit the ESA vocabulary. We don't want her to delete it, but we will allow her to add a vocabulary for that authority. It may be we want her to be able to edit the actions vocabulary under the Votman authority, but not the LRE one. So you can see now Alma can edit these two vocabularies. She could add a vocabulary under ESA. So there is very granular access to vocabularies.